Well, good morning. It doesn't seem like morning to me because I haven't been to bed yet. I did take a brief snooze late afternoon, or at least I laid down. I don't think I actually fell asleep. And I did get a little bit of sleep, maybe for another hour or two this morning after I did my video. Anyway, I went to hear my son play tonight with the Buskers, and I stayed for the entire program. And I knew when I came home that I would check my emails and get caught up on everything there, and then wait for the appropriate time to start. And I always do the triple numbers. 222 is what should be up. What was on the clock when I began. So anyway, I'm tired, but the opposite extreme of tired. I haven't laid down to even. I haven't been in bed since late afternoon, where I laid down for less than an hour. Anyway, title: Religion is the kindergarten of spirituality. Those words were sent to me by by Tom, one of my YouTube subscribers. I like the thought. It's a great definition for religion. Of course, those that are religious, most of them anyway, do not consider themselves religious. Many would say they are spiritual, just as I did when I was a fundamentalist Christian. This morning, I'm going to talk about Jesus and what I perceive to be the difference between the religious and spiritual Christ. I will also mention the video I watched the other day entitled "The Council That Created Jesus Christ" by Reverend Ray Hagins, PhD. My friend Steve sent me an article after I posted that entitled "Jesus According to Sources Outside the Bible." Both links are provided here, and I will include those links in the description for today's talk. And of course, they will be also on Facebook later on. Anyway, I've been sitting here, almost a half an hour since I wrote that blurb, pondering the situation of religion and spirituality. Religion means to bind, and many people are bound by religion. I don't believe any master, including Jesus and Buddha, and I don't know as much, but I don't even think Muhammad had the intention of founding a religion. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I'm sure I'm not wrong about Jesus or Buddha. Neither of them ever founded a religion. And in fact, most people that we hold in esteem today as being masters or great teachers never founded a religion. Religion has always been founded by political entities for political purposes. It's always been about control. It's always been about, I don't even know what other word to use except control. It's about control. Religion is about finding a means to control people through guilt and fear primarily. Shame, negative emotions. Making people feel bad and feeling bad even for feeling good sometimes. Because if you feel good, you must be doing something wrong. That's the pious attitude of religion so often. And spirituality is liberating. Spirituality is about being free, and it's about loving, and it's about cherishing the opportunity to be alive. So different than religion, which is always doing penance and always about suffering and always about always about hypocrisy, wearing masks, pretending you're something that you're not because what you are is never good enough. And when I listen to Pastor Ray Hagins, whom I never heard before, he's a black man and I'm not sure where he is, and he was definitely painting the picture of black spirituality compared to white religiosity. At least that's one of the things that I got out of it. But I must say this, and my friend Steve can vouch for this because he called me right after I posted it on Facebook, or not very long afterwards. And I said, you know, Steve, I says, I've heard a lot of people through the years claim that Jesus Christ wasn't an historical figure. There wasn't enough evidence to prove it. And I never bought into any of the Santos Bonacci, or however you say his name, from Australia, or any of these so-called scholars that have said that Jesus Christ was not real, was not a real person. I've always believed he was. But when I listened to Ray Hagins, he came closer to convincing me than anyone ever did, as he talked about Serapis Christus, the Greco-Roman, the Egyptian and the Greco-Roman, both Serapis and Serapis Christus, two different beings. One of them was 350 before the Christian era, and one of them is 135 years before the Christian era. And his contention was that Jesus Christ did not exist prior to the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. That this was a creation of the Roman Emperor Constantine, and it wasn't real. I almost bought it until Steve sent me the sources outside the Bible that mentioned not only Jesus, but his disciples and what happened to them. And that was quite convincing. But I want to talk about Jesus for a minute. I do believe he was an historical figure. He may not have been called Jesus. That's a Greek or Roman translation of the word Yeshua or Joshua. But there was a person, I believe, that lived in the first century. And I do believe the Bible shares some insights about the type of person that he was. Jesus was not a religious man. That may shock some of you to hear me say that. But he was known in his day as a glutton and a wine bibber. His first miracle was at a wedding feast, or a wedding reception, if you will, where he turned the water into wine. And it was really good wine, according to the story. Now, Mr. Hagins, or Reverend Hagins, doesn't believe that happened. If somebody was able to do that, there would have been all sorts of stuff written about him. But bear in mind, spirituality is always an affront to the political establishment, because spirituality is about being free. It's about a living relationship, that you are in communion with God. And Jesus was trying very hard to get his disciples to get beyond the religion of thinking that they were the only ones that are right. He says, look, I have other sheep that are not in our group. Don't you get it? It's not our group. That's ego thinking. That's religion thinking. It's not about that. If they do the things that I teach, they are part of our group, whether they're physically connected to us or not. And it's about love. When they brought the woman in adultery, caught in the very act of adultery, to Jesus, he didn't condemn her. They wanted to stone her. the religious leaders, because that's religion. Jesus says, no, I don't condemn you, he said to the woman. And he said to the people that brought her, let the one of you that doesn't have sin cast the first stone. Jesus was loving because spirituality is about love. And religious people don't get it. All you have to do is look at the history of religion in our world. You don't even have to go back very far. You can still see it sometimes here in the 21st century, and certainly it was rampant in the 20th century. Religions fighting each other. And even in Christianity, you've got all the denominations arguing about which one is right. That's religion. It has nothing to do with anything important. It has to do with ego trips, trying to be self-righteous, trying to prove yourself right compared to somebody else that you want to be wrong. You see, that's not religion, or that's not spirituality. That's not liberating. That's an ego trip. That's a mental construct. Religion binds us, holds us in bondage to elemental things that are not life-giving. Things like the Bible, things like the Quran. There's wisdom in those books. There surely is wisdom in those books. However, if you're going to be bound to a book, you're never going to be free. You have to learn to be in relationship with the Spirit of God now, which is what the Buddha taught, which is what Christ taught, which is what all spiritual teachers that are worth anything will teach you. It's about relationship. It's about actually living in communion, spiritual communion with the living God who is all around you and in you and working through you. Because that's what it is. That's what Jesus was trying to get across to us. The grace of God reaches everyone that will just accept the grace. It's a free gift. We don't have to be guilty. We don't have to take the religious trip. It's a kindergarten to just make you aware that there's more. But most people never go to the more because religion will prevent you from doing it. It actually blocks people from venturing out in faith and having and developing a relationship with God for themselves. And then it's your relationship. Nobody can take away from you what you've actually experienced. And that was one of the things that I've wrestled with since I listened to Ray Higgins. Okay, what if Jesus didn't historically exist? But I've had relationship with what I term the Christ, or what I feel is the Christ spirit, Christ consciousness. I've been so aware of that, even when I was a fundamentalist Christian, because I knew it was about relationship, and I believed I had a relationship, and I did, and I still do. I have a relationship with God, and it's God working through me that enables me to love and have a wiser and more balanced approach to these things than a lot of people that are bound by their books. That the book in the Bible, for example, says the letter kills. Indeed it does. Indeed it does. And it kills by binding. It kills by limiting. It kills by producing guilt and fear. These are not attributes that liberate. We have to accept that we feel them. They're real feelings. It's a real experience, but it's not real. We can't be separate from God. That's a spiritual reality because God is literally in everything, or whatever we want to call God. I mean, that's just a word. But the energy that's divine, that's life itself, that's love itself, that permeates the whole of creation. Even the dark areas have the element of light within them. They have to. They have to contain the divine because the divine permeates all creation. The creator is in the creation. Has to be that way. So I just want to leave you with words of encouragement. If you're going through hard times and you're down on yourself, stop beating yourself up. Learn to know the difference between religion and spirituality. And if you're religious, recognize that it's only the kindergarten. There's so many more things that you have to experience and learn for yourself as you develop a relationship with God. And if you want to honor Jesus, honor Jesus. If you want to honor the Buddha, honor the Buddha. If you want to honor Muhammad, or Krishna, or Lao Tzu, or any of the great spiritual teachers, or even some of the Native American uh, medicine men and shamans and chiefs that had tremendous wisdom. Chief Joseph, I think, was one of the ones that had tremendous wisdom as a Native American. Honor God in everyone, but most important, recognize God in yourself, because God is there, and it's not about religion, it's not about guilt. That only serves the political purpose of the empires, of the kings, of the political leaders. Break free from your religion and develop a living relationship with the living God. That's what I want to encourage you to do. And as we're here in 2012, near the end of 2012, open yourself up to receive the grace that's being poured out on everyone that's willing. Be willing, okay? You can turn your life around by learning the difference between being religious and being spiritual. Thank you for listening. Namaste.